Title: When Words Hurt, Healing from Unspoken Apologies. Purpose: for those who carry pain from words never said or heard, this provides emotional closure. Perhaps, some apologies may never come. But tonight, you can set yourself free anyway. Chapter 1: The Silence That Echoes. There's a kind of silence that doesn't soothe, it stings. It lingers in the room long after the argument ends. It follows you into the night, into your dreams, and into the fragile quiet of your heart. This silence isn't peaceful. It is the absence of something you needed to hear. It is the apology that never came. The words that were never spoken. The acknowledgement you were owed but never received. And yet, here you are, still holding it all. Maybe someone you loved hurt you and walked away as if nothing happened. Maybe they passed on from this life before they ever had the chance or the courage to say "I'm sorry." Maybe it wasn't even a harsh word but a moment when they should have spoken up in your defense, and didn't. That absence, it echoes. It becomes a part of your inner dialogue, whispering doubts and questions. Did I deserve that? Was it my fault? Should I have said something differently? Am I being too sensitive? These questions loop endlessly, not because you are weak, but because you are seeking peace in a place where a wound was left open. Your heart, in its infinite wisdom, seeks closure, seeks justice, seeks acknowledgement. It seeks to be seen. But when it doesn't get it, it tries to make sense of the silence. And that's why this chapter exists. To tell you, you are not alone. And your pain is valid even if no one ever admitted they caused it. Too often, we feel embarrassed for still hurting over something small or long ago. We compare our wounds to others, telling ourselves, "It wasn't that bad. I should be over it by now." But healing doesn't respond to a timeline. Emotional injuries don't disappear just because time passes. Especially when they were never properly acknowledged. Imagine a deep cut on your skin left untreated. It doesn't heal cleanly. It festers. It scars. Emotional wounds are much the same. Without the balm of empathy, acknowledgement, or sincere apology, the wound lingers just below the surface of our smiles. And yet there's something powerful about recognizing this. When you admit to yourself, "Yes, this silence hurt me. Yes, I still carry it," you reclaim your truth. You take the first step toward healing not because someone else finally stepped forward, but because you dared to be honest with yourself. We grow up believing apologies must come from others. But here's the hard truth no one teaches us in school: some apologies may never come. And yet, you can still find peace. You can still let go. You can still thrive. This chapter is your permission to acknowledge what you've been holding inside without guilt. To recognize that the silence wasn't neutral. That it had an impact. That it shaped how you see yourself, how you trust, how you speak up, or stay quiet, even today. Let's name what was left unsaid. What was it you needed to hear? "I'm sorry I hurt you. You didn't deserve that. It wasn't your fault. You mattered then, and you matter now." Perhaps you needed them to say, "I understand now." But they never did. And now you're left trying to understand it all yourself. Here's a small practice. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, whisper the words you never heard. Say them aloud or write them down. Let them come from your own voice, if not theirs. Because at the end of the day, it's not about them anymore. It's about your heart. It's about your right to rest peacefully. It's about emotional liberation. You are not weak for wanting closure. You are not broken for revisiting the wound. You are human. And your soul seeks harmony. There is power in turning toward the pain instead of suppressing it. In hearing your own truth and treating it with kindness. And in doing so, something beautiful begins to happen. The silence loses its grip. The echo becomes softer. And eventually, your heart finds a new sound, a rhythm of self-respect, self-compassion, and quiet courage. It takes courage to feel. Even more to heal without help from the one who hurt you. But here you are. Doing the work. Choosing wholeness over bitterness. Choosing peace over pride. And so tonight, repeat this to yourself as a lullaby for the soul. Some apologies may never come. But I can still heal. I can still breathe without their words. I can still sleep without their voice. I can still rise whole and holy. Let the silence echo no longer with pain, but with your new affirmation. I deserve peace. Even if they never said sorry. Subliminal message for enrichment embedded in tone and rhythm. You are emotionally intelligent. You are healing in grace. You are stronger than their silence. You are worthy of closure, peace, and sleep. Every night you choose compassion, you rewire your heart toward wholeness. Chapter 2: Why We Long for Apologies. There is a deep ache within the human heart when it goes unheard. It's not just about pride, justice, or fairness, it's about recognition. It's about the need to be seen and validated as someone who has felt pain and still longs to be understood. An apology, when sincere, is a small miracle of emotional connection. It says, "I see you. I understand now. You didn't imagine it. You matter." So when it never comes, a strange hunger develops inside us. Not for vengeance or revenge, but for emotional acknowledgement. That hunger is not weakness. It is not a flaw. It is evidence of your humanity. Apologies, when done with intention, hold a sacred power. They can dismantle walls, soften hardened hearts, and untangle knots of misunderstanding that have festered for years. They restore equilibrium. They bring clarity. But perhaps most of all, they restore dignity. We long for apologies because we crave relational repair. When a rupture occurs, be it a harsh word, a betrayal, or neglect, it wounds our sense of belonging. An apology becomes the bridge back to connection. It signals safety. It tells us, "You were hurt, and I care." Children understand this need almost instinctively. From a young age, when they are hurt physically or emotionally, they look up, eyes wide, searching not just for comfort, but for words that make sense of their pain. Why did this happen? Did I do something wrong? Will you make it right? As adults, we rarely outgrow that need. It just gets buried beneath layers of coping. But the longing remains. And this is where the wound of unspoken apologies digs deep. It leaves us in a state of limbo. The rupture is real, but the repair never comes. The script is left unfinished. And so we replay the moment over and over, hoping, fantasizing, bargaining for a different ending. If only they would realize what they said. Maybe one day they'll regret it and reach out. Maybe if I explain it differently, they'll finally get it. We try to fill the silence with logic, with justification, with stories we tell ourselves to cope. But the truth is simple: we wanted to be acknowledged. And that's okay. Some people may say, "Why do you need their apology? Just move on." But healing isn't as easy as flipping a mental switch. We are not machines, we are emotional, spiritual, relational beings. Our longing for an apology is rooted not in dependence, but in a sacred desire for mutual respect. It is absolutely human to want someone to say, "You didn't deserve what I did. I see now how that hurt you. You have every right to feel how you feel." These words have the power to unburden years of pain in a single moment. But when those words never come, the burden becomes ours to carry, and this is where self-enrichment becomes essential. Not to erase the need for an apology, but to learn how to give ourselves the acknowledgement we never received. Let's gently reframe this: the apology you seek is real, and your need for it is not a sign of emotional immaturity, it is a reminder of your emotional depth. There is something courageous in being the one who feels deeply. It means you are still connected to your heart, still capable of love, still open to healing. Now imagine what happens when you take that need for validation, and instead of waiting endlessly for someone else to offer it, you turn it inward. Imagine whispering to yourself, "I'm sorry you went through that. You were not being too sensitive, you were being real. You didn't imagine that moment. It hurt because it mattered." This is where healing begins, not in forgetting the pain or pretending you never needed an apology, but in becoming your own source of validation. When you give yourself this gift, you soften the grip of the original wound. You stop handing the power of your healing to someone who may never return it. You become the keeper of your peace. One of the most powerful exercises you can do is to write down the apology you wish you had received. Not to send it, not to confront, but to name it. To acknowledge what your heart knows it deserved. Here's a gentle format you can use. Dear name, I needed you to say, I was wrong. I needed you to see how that moment affected me. I needed to hear, you didn't deserve that. You never said it, and I carried it. But tonight, I'm choosing to let go, not because it didn't matter, but because I do. Repeat these words at night. Let them wash over you like a balm. Let them begin to sew together the spaces where silence once lived. And if tears come, let them. Tears are truth leaving the body. They are not a sign of weakness, they are signs of the release you've been waiting for. Subliminal message woven into this chapter's rhythm and tone. You are emotionally rich. Your sensitivity is strength. You are worthy of acknowledgement, with or without their voice. Peace is your birthright, and you are reclaiming it one breath at a time. So tonight, if your mind wanders back to that old conversation that never ended, if your heart feels restless wondering why they never said sorry, take a deep breath. Hold your heart gently, and tell yourself what they never did. You deserved better. You still do. And you are allowed to heal anyway. You are not wrong for wanting words you never heard. You are simply human. And that is a beautiful thing. Chapter 3, The Cost of Words Left Unsaid. There is a strange kind of pain that lives not in what was said, but in what wasn't. The words that never came. The apology that hung in the air but never landed. The truth that trembled at the edge of someone's lips but was swallowed in pride, shame, or indifference. This is the cost of silence. And it's a cost we carry in our hearts, our bodies, and sometimes even in the shape of our dreams. Most of us are taught that time heals. That if we let enough days, months, or years pass, the pain will fade. But the truth is, time only heals what we process, what we acknowledge, what we confront. And when words are left unsaid, especially important words like "I'm sorry," "you mattered," or "you were right," a kind of invisible tension remains. It lingers. It knots up in the body like a fist that never fully unclenched. Have you ever caught yourself replaying a moment from years ago, wondering what would have changed if the other person had just acknowledged your pain? Just one sentence. Just one honest moment of connection. The absence of those words becomes a phantom memory that revisits you when you least expect it, during quiet car rides, in the middle of a joyful celebration, or in the hush of night. And the question remains, why does it still hurt? It hurts because words left unsaid leave behind energy unprocessed. They remain like unopened letters within the soul, messages we hoped to receive but never did. And because we didn't receive them, we started telling ourselves our own versions of what they might have meant. Maybe I wasn't important enough. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I'm not worthy of being apologized to. This internal narration becomes our substitute for what should have been external healing. But it's never quite enough. And often, it leads to a quiet erosion of self-worth. The cost of unspoken words is real. It can shape how we trust others, how we communicate in future relationships, How we manage conflict or avoid it. Silence teaches us that our emotions might be inconvenient, that our needs might be too much, and that vulnerability leads only to more hurt. And so, we begin to silence ourselves too. We learn to hold things in, to avoid confrontation, to bite our tongue, to dismiss our instincts, to smile when we want to scream. Because somewhere deep inside, a part of us believes, if others never cared enough to say the truth, maybe I shouldn't speak mine either. But the truth is, those unsaid words are not your fault. You did not cause someone else's silence. Their refusal to speak was not a reflection of your value, but of their own limitations. And your healing? It does not require their voice. It begins with your own. There is immense power in finally acknowledging the cost you've carried. To say, yes, it hurt that they never said sorry. Yes, I needed more than what I received. Yes, it impacted me and I'm done pretending it didn't. That truth is not bitter. It's brave. It is the beginning of emotional restoration. And here's a vital truth: what was left unsaid by others can now be spoken by you. You get to give language to the hurt. You get to write the ending they were unwilling or unable to create. Tonight, you can sit with your heart and ask, what did I need to hear that I never did? What part of me still waits for those words? What would it feel like to finally speak them to myself? One of the most healing things you can do is write down the conversation that never happened. Script it out not as a fantasy, but as a reclamation. Give your voice to the silence. Say the things you needed to hear. And say the things you were never given the space to express. Here's an example you can modify for your own healing. I needed you to say that I was not the problem. I needed you to say that you were wrong. I needed you to admit that you hurt me, even if you didn't mean to. But since you didn't, I am saying it now. Because I refuse to carry this silence any longer. I release this weight. I am not your silence. I am my truth. I am my healing. This chapter is not about blaming. It's about naming. Because what you name, you can finally free. What you give voice to, you can finally release. When we pretend that unspoken words don't affect us, we deny our emotional wisdom. But when we honor the truth of how silence shaped us, we step into emotional adulthood. We begin to take ownership not of the silence, but of our response to it. And that is where power lies. Subliminal message woven throughout this chapter. You are powerful enough to release what was never said. You are no longer defined by someone else's silence. You are safe to speak. You are worthy of hearing truth even if it begins with your own voice. Your healing is your birthright. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, close your eyes and whisper this. I release the weight of words I never heard. I no longer carry what was never mine to hold. I speak peace into every corner where silence once lived. And in this quiet, I now hear my own strength. Let this be your ritual. Let this be your awakening. Let this be the moment where silence no longer costs you your peace. You don't need permission to let go. You only need your willingness to begin. And you've already started. Chapter 4, When the Apology Never Comes. There comes a moment in every healing journey where you must make peace with this truth: some apologies will never come. Not because they weren't deserved. Not because your pain wasn't real. Not because you were wrong to want closure. But because the person who should have said I'm sorry either won't, or can't. It's one of the hardest realities to accept, that the healing you hoped would come from someone else may never arrive. Perhaps they lack the emotional maturity. Perhaps they are no longer in your life. Perhaps they passed away before ever admitting the truth. Or maybe, they don't even believe they did anything wrong. And yet here you are, still carrying the weight. It's cruel, isn't it? The one who caused the wound walks away untouched, while you remain with the scar. You rehearse the moment, imagining the day they'll wake up, realize their mistake, and come back with humility in their eyes. You dream of a scene where they speak the words that would unshackle your heart. But that day may never come. So what then? Do you stay shackled to that silence forever? No. You don't. You can't. Because your healing doesn't depend on their confession. It begins when you decide that your freedom matters more than their recognition. And that's what this chapter is about, the sacred act of letting go, not of the truth, but of the expectation. Letting go doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It doesn't mean excusing or erasing. It means choosing peace over the need to be right. Choosing lightness over the heavy burden of waiting. Choosing to release the cord that ties your worth to someone else's willingness to admit they were wrong. Because if you wait for an apology that never comes, you allow the wound to stay open indefinitely. And your soul, your beautiful, tender, growing soul, deserves so much more than that. Let's be honest, not receiving the apology you deserved can make you question everything about yourself. Did it matter to them at all? Why didn't they say something? Was I too much, or not enough? But these questions are not yours to answer. Because the lack of an apology is not a measure of your worth, it's a reflection of their limitations, not your value. Still, the pain is real. And so, we must find another way forward. We must give ourselves what they didn't, closure. Let's redefine closure. Closure is not about them finally understanding your hurt. It's about you understanding that you don't need their voice to validate your healing. Closure is not an apology. Closure is an act of self-love. You can create your own closure by speaking truth into the silence. They didn't apologize. But I deserved one. They didn't acknowledge it. But my pain was real. They didn't see me. But I see myself now. You are allowed to stop waiting. You are allowed to stop checking your phone, replaying memories, writing mental scripts. You are allowed to end the story on your own terms. And perhaps, just perhaps, the moment they failed to show up for you became the very moment you were called to show up for yourself. Here's a ritual you can try tonight. The self-forgiveness and release letter. Take a few quiet moments. Light a candle. Hold your hand over your heart. And write a letter not to them, but to yourself. Dear your name. I know you waited for an apology that never came. I know it hurt every time it didn't arrive. I know you stayed up at night wondering why someone you trusted could walk away without ever making it right. But I'm here now. I'm here to say I'm sorry for every time you thought you were to blame. I'm sorry you were hurt. I'm sorry you were left to make sense of it all alone. But you are not alone anymore. I will not abandon you. I will not make you wait any longer. You have my forgiveness. You have my love. You have my promise. From this moment on, we heal. With love. Me. Then fold that letter. Place it under your pillow. And sleep knowing that you have started the process of becoming whole, not because someone else made it right, but because you did. That is power. That is grace. That is what true healing looks like. It may not happen in one night. The longing might return from time to time. The old ache might revisit you like a ghost knocking softly at the edges of your memory. That's okay. Healing is not linear. You are allowed to feel the sadness without being consumed by it. Every time you choose peace over bitterness, self-trust over confusion, compassion over resentment, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You write a new narrative that says, I may never hear I'm sorry. But I will no longer let that silence control me. I'm moving forward. For me. Because I matter. Subliminal message embedded throughout this chapter. You are the author of your closure. You do not need their voice to validate your truth. You are whole, even if their apology never arrives. The absence of their words does not diminish the value of your heart. And now, as you close your eyes tonight, hold yourself with gentleness. Wrap your soul in a blanket of permission, the permission to let go, to choose rest, to stop waiting, to know that healing is not found in what others give, but in what you allow yourself to receive. Some apologies may never come, but peace will. And tonight, I choose peace. You are free now, and you are still full of light. Chapter 5, Learning to Forgive Without Hearing Sorry. Forgiveness. It's a word that feels beautiful in theory, but in practice, it can feel like a mountain you never agreed to climb. Especially when no one ever said, "I'm sorry." Especially when they walked away without a second thought. Especially when you were left holding the pieces of a relationship, a friendship, a promise without an explanation, without a confession, without remorse. How do you forgive someone who won't admit they hurt you? How do you release what was never acknowledged? You begin by rewriting what forgiveness truly means. Forgiveness is not approval. Let's get one thing straight, forgiveness does not mean saying what they did was okay. It does not excuse harm. It does not minimize betrayal. It does not pretend that emotional wounds never happened. Forgiveness is not about letting them off the hook. It's about letting yourself off the hook from the exhausting burden of carrying that pain every single day. It's about setting yourself free. Forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. It's for your peace of mind. It's for your nervous system. It's for your future. It's so you can rest again. Smile again. Trust again. Sleep deeply again. Some people will never give you the words you need. Some will never apologize, not because you don't deserve it, but because they don't know how. Or because they refuse to. Or because they've convinced themselves they did nothing wrong. You can't change them. But you can change what you hold onto. Imagine carrying a backpack full of bricks, each one a memory, a resentment, a moment you replay again and again. The apology that never came is the heaviest one. And every step forward in life feels harder because of it. Forgiveness is choosing to open the backpack, and begin to take out the bricks. One by one. Not because the pain didn't matter. But because you do. Why it hurts so much without sorry. There's something incredibly healing about being seen in your pain. A genuine apology is a form of emotional justice. It's a declaration, you weren't imagining it. You're not overreacting. You're not invisible. So when that apology never comes, it can feel like gaslighting by silence. You start to question your own memory, your own perception, your own worth. And yet, there's a deeper truth waiting to be uncovered. You can validate yourself. You can forgive for your sake, not theirs. You can reclaim your emotional power. This is not an overnight journey, but it is a life-giving one. Steps to begin forgiving without hearing sorry. Here's a gentle process to guide your heart. 1. Acknowledge what happened without sugarcoating it. Write down what happened. Be honest. No need to justify their actions or minimize your feelings. They said this. They didn't show up. They betrayed my trust. They never apologized, and it made me feel small, angry, confused. Naming the truth is an act of liberation. 2. Affirm that your pain is valid. Your feelings are not too much. Your longing for closure is not weakness. Your desire to heal is not unrealistic. You are human. And your heart responds to injury the same way your body would. You would never ignore a broken bone. Don't ignore your emotional wounds either. 3. Speak the forgiveness out loud. Even if you don't feel ready yet. Say something like, I don't excuse what you did. But I'm no longer willing to carry this anger. I release this burden from my body. I choose peace. I choose healing. I forgive not for your sake, but for mine. Speak it into the air. Whisper it into your pillow. Say it under your breath while taking a walk. Words carry energy. Your voice can begin the shift. 4. Create a visual release ritual. Here's a powerful nighttime practice. Write a letter expressing everything you wish they had heard. Fold it, then safely burn it or shred it while saying, "This pain no longer defines me. I am releasing what no longer serves me." Feel the symbolism. Let the act become a turning point. 5. Choose a mantra for your healing. Here are a few mantras you can repeat before sleep. I am releasing the need for closure from others. I give myself peace. Their silence does not dictate my worth. I am allowed to rest, even with unfinished stories. Repeat this for 21 days. Let it settle into your subconscious. The shift will begin quietly at first, then deeply. Forgiveness is a return to your wholeness. When someone doesn't apologize, they leave a fracture between you and your sense of emotional safety. Forgiving is how you restore the bridge, not toward them, but back to yourself. Back to your peace. Back to your power. Back to your present moment. It doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean inviting them back into your life. It means saying, "This wound will no longer rule me. I am ready to move forward." Subliminal message woven throughout this chapter. You are not weak for forgiving. You are not foolish for letting go. You are wise. You are rising. You are healing from the inside out. You are stronger than the silence. Your spirit is lightening with every act of release. Peace is returning to your heart and you deserve every moment of it. Tonight, before bed, place your hand over your heart. Breathe in gently. Feel your chest rise. Exhale the weight. Say this to yourself. They may never say sorry. But I no longer wait. I am free now. I forgive so I can sleep in peace. This is your life. Your peace. Your power. And you no longer need their words to live it fully. Chapter 6, Apologizing to Yourself. There comes a point in your healing journey where you realize the person you've been waiting for is you. Not the person who hurt you. Not the one who never said sorry. But you, the one who stayed. The one who survived. The one who kept going. When others failed to see your pain, you kept your head above water. When you were treated unfairly and questioned your worth, you still got up each morning. When apologies never came, you continued to carry the weight. And in that silent struggle, something was often forgotten: yourself. This chapter is about turning inward, not to blame yourself, but to acknowledge the part of you that was abandoned, even by you. Because sometimes, in our effort to survive what others did to us, we unintentionally betray ourselves too. Maybe you ignored your instincts. Maybe you silenced your voice. Maybe you stayed too long in a place that chipped away at your spirit. Maybe you told yourself it wasn't that bad. Maybe you convinced yourself their silence meant you were the problem. And for all of that, for the moments you didn't protect yourself, for the times you abandoned your own needs, for the way you swallowed pain to keep the peace, you owe yourself an apology. Why self-apology matters. We spend so much time waiting for others to acknowledge what they did to us. But seldom do we turn around and give ourselves the same grace. Self-apology isn't self-blame. It's the opposite. It's the sacred act of honoring your inner child, your younger self, your hurting heart. It's a way of saying, you didn't deserve what happened. And I'm sorry for all the ways I didn't stand by you. I see you now. And I'm here to make it right. It is incredibly powerful. Because in that moment, you become the person you always needed. You become your own safe space. Your own healer. your own validation. And that changes everything. The silent ways we hurt ourselves. Before you begin the apology, it helps to recognize how self-abandonment shows up. Here are some quiet ways we've all turned our backs on ourselves. Saying yes when we wanted to scream no. Dismissing our emotions because someone else told us we were too sensitive. Staying in relationships out of fear, not love. Punishing ourselves for someone else's cruelty. Expecting perfection to earn love. Ignoring our body's cries for rest, nourishment, or comfort. These aren't sins. They're survival patterns. But survival is not the same as living. To truly live, we must forgive the ways we've hurt ourselves and then begin again. The apology ritual. Tonight, you're invited into a ritual of radical softness. Find a quiet place. Sit with your heart. Let the silence feel safe. Place a hand on your chest or over your belly. Feel your breath. Feel your presence. Then, speak to yourself as you would a dear friend who has been through too much. Say this slowly, with intention. I'm sorry I didn't believe you when you said you were hurting. I'm sorry I told you to just get over it. I'm sorry I prioritized their feelings over yours. I'm sorry I made you feel like you had to earn love. I'm sorry I judged your pain instead of soothing it. Let the words come naturally. They don't need to be poetic. They just need to be true. You might cry. You might feel relief. You might feel resistance. All of it is welcome. You are not breaking. You are rebuilding. You are finally giving yourself what others didn't: empathy, truth, and care. What happens after you apologize to yourself? A subtle shift begins. The internal critic gets quieter. The anxious heart begins to exhale. The body feels safer inside your own skin. The spirit starts to rise lighter, freer, more whole. This is where deep healing lives. Not in external validation, but in inner reconciliation. Self-apology becomes the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. It's the moment you stop blaming yourself for the ways you coped. It's the moment you stop resenting your sensitivity and start honoring it. It's the moment you remember, I am not my mistakes. I am my growth. Subliminal message embedded throughout this chapter. You are not your past. You are not your silence. You are not your self-blame. You are worthy of kindness from yourself first. You are your own protector now. You are reclaiming your voice. You are nurturing the wounds no one else cared for. You are becoming whole again, one breath, one apology, one night at a time. Before you sleep tonight, try this affirmation. Whisper it like a lullaby. Let it soak into your cells. I forgive myself for the times I didn't know better. I honor myself for surviving. I love myself enough to begin again. I am safe with me now. Breathe deeply. Let your body feel your presence. Let your heart trust that you will never again abandon it. The apology you give to yourself is more powerful than any that never came from someone else. You are your home now. And tonight, your heart is being held. Chapter 7, Reclaiming Your Voice After Being Silenced. There is a moment, quiet and sacred, when you realize something powerful. You don't need their permission to speak. Not anymore. Not ever again. For too long, you may have swallowed your truth. You kept the peace while your heart broke silently. You nodded to keep the conversation smooth. You smiled so no one would ask what was wrong. You tiptoed around your pain, fearing that speaking it aloud would make you seem dramatic, needy, too emotional, too much. And where did all those words go? Into the corners of your soul. Into your chest, where the breath tightened. Into your throat, where your truth curled up like a forgotten child, waiting to be invited home. That's the cost of being silenced, whether by others or by your own survival instincts. It's not just that your voice went quiet, it's that your very sense of self dimmed. But not anymore. This chapter is your call back to power. A gentle yet firm awakening. You were not born to shrink. You were not born to be quiet to keep others comfortable. You were not born to carry the pain in silence while pretending everything is fine. You were born to speak, to express, to tell your story, to reclaim your voice not in anger, but in clarity. Why silence became your shelter. Before you reclaim your voice, it's important to understand why it disappeared. Sometimes, silence is a strategy. You were protecting yourself. Maybe you feared rejection, retaliation, or ridicule. Maybe you were told your feelings were wrong, or too intense, or inconvenient. Maybe the person who should have listened shut you down before you even got the words out. And so, you learned that staying quiet felt safer than risking further pain. Let's be clear, there is no shame in this. You survived the best way you knew how. Silence wasn't weakness, it was armor. But now that you are healing, that armor has become too heavy. It's not protecting you, it's suffocating you. And your truth, your voice, your expression, is ready to breathe. The power of reclaiming your voice. When you begin to speak again, truly speak from the core of your being, you reclaim more than your voice. You reclaim your agency, the power to choose, act, and direct your life. Your authenticity, no longer performing, just being. Your energy, not wasted on suppression, but redirected to purpose. Every time you choose honesty over silence, you rewrite the narrative that says your voice doesn't matter. Because it does. Immensely. Starting small, speaking your truth. You don't need to roar. Reclaiming your voice doesn't require shouting. It starts quietly. Intimately. Honestly. It can look like saying "that hurt me" when someone crosses a boundary. Writing in your journal the truths you never said aloud. Recording a voice memo to your future self, sharing your story. Telling someone close to you what you've been afraid to say. Start where it's safe. Start where it's true. And every time you speak, even just a whisper, you are healing the part of you that was silenced. When they still don't listen. Sometimes, you'll speak, and they still won't hear you. They'll deflect. Dismiss. Pretend nothing happened. And that hurts. But remember this, you didn't speak for them. You spoke for you. You spoke because your soul deserves honesty. Because your pain deserves a voice. Because you are no longer bottling it up to make someone else more comfortable. Your healing does not depend on how they respond. It grows each time you honor your own truth. Daily practices to reclaim your voice. 1 morning mirror affirmations. Stand in front of a mirror and say, "My voice matters. I trust what I feel. I speak with courage, and I listen with love." It might feel awkward at first. That's okay. Your voice is learning how to come home. 2 voice release journal. Write unfiltered, uncensored thoughts each night. No editing. No holding back. This is your safe space to say everything. 3 Speak 1 brave sentence each day. Challenge yourself to speak 1 sentence each day that feels bold, honest, or true, whether it's asking for help, setting a boundary, or expressing appreciation. "No, I don't agree. I actually feel differently. This is important to me. I need some time. That wasn't okay with me." These small sentences build inner muscle. They help your voice stand taller. Subliminal message woven throughout this chapter. Your voice is sacred. Your truth is valuable. You no longer need to be quiet to stay safe. You are allowed to express. You are allowed to exist fully. Speaking is not confrontation, it is connection. And you are deeply worthy of being heard. Tonight's reflection. As you prepare for rest, sit in silence, but not the silence of suppression. Let it be the silence before the rising. The silence of still water before it flows. Place a hand on your throat and whisper, I forgive myself for all the times I stayed silent to feel safe. I thank myself for surviving the only way I knew how. And now, I choose to speak with love. I choose to speak for me. I am ready to be heard even if only by myself. Let your breath move freely. Let your truth return to you. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. Your voice is here. Your voice is alive. And it's time for it to lead the way. Chapter 8, Turning Hurt into Compassion. There is a profound transformation that happens when we choose not to harden from pain but to soften. To feel, fully. To cry, honestly. To ask, what can I do with this pain, that doesn't destroy me, but rebuilds me? This is not an easy path. Hurt wants revenge. Betrayal wants bitterness. Silence wants to be met with silence. But your soul, the part of you that longs to rise, doesn't want to carry resentment forever. It wants release, renewal, redemption. That's where compassion comes in. It's not about excusing what happened. It's about refusing to let what happened make you cold, closed, or callous. Compassion is the courage to let your pain become your teacher, not your captor. It's how you take your power back. Pain is a portal, not a prison. Most of us spend years resisting pain. We push it down. We numb it. We run from it. But the pain doesn't disappear, it embeds itself in our behaviors, our reactions, our relationships. When someone touches the wound, we recoil or lash out not because of them, but because of what was never healed. Compassion offers another way. It whispers, what if pain isn't here to punish you, but to awaken something deeper in you? What if your wound can become the very place where light enters? What if your deepest hurt becomes the seed of your greatest humanity? Think about this, the people who move us most aren't the ones who've never been hurt. They're the ones who have, but chose not to pass that hurt forward. Instead, they turned their suffering into softness. Their trauma into testimony. Their heartbreak into healing for themselves and others. This is emotional alchemy. What compassion really means. Compassion is not weakness. It is not being passive. It is not about tolerating abuse, betrayal, or disrespect. Compassion is strength in tenderness. It is clarity wrapped in love. It's saying, I see the pain that shaped you. But I also see how your choices hurt me. I can acknowledge your wounds. Without letting you wound me again. I release you with grace. Not because you earned it, but because I deserve peace. Compassion is not about going back. It's about going forward unburdened. How do you turn hurt into compassion? 1. See their humanity without erasing your own. Sometimes the people who hurt us were hurting too. Sometimes they were emotionally immature, reactive, or repeating patterns they never healed from. This doesn't excuse them, but it helps you see that their actions were more about them than about you. They didn't know how to love me, because no one ever taught them how to love themselves. They couldn't apologize, because they never learned how to face guilt without shame. When you begin to see them through this lens, something softens, not toward them necessarily, but toward yourself. You realize, it was never my job to fix them. It was only my job to protect myself. And now you are. To speak from wisdom, not wound. Ask yourself, what would my wise, healed self say? Not the part of you still raw with anger, but the part of you that wants to rise. Speak from her. Write from him. Breathe from them. You'll notice the language shift from "how dare they" to "I deserve better." That shift is the root of compassion. It's no longer about them. It's about you. 3. Create purpose from pain. One of the most beautiful ways to turn hurt into compassion is to use it to help others. Maybe you share your story. Maybe you create art, write poetry, start a journal, or simply offer kindness to someone else silently suffering. The pain becomes a bridge, not a wall. And you become a light not in spite of your hurt, but because of how you chose to heal it. Compassion with boundaries. Let's be clear, compassion is not letting toxic people stay in your life. Compassion says, I release you, but I will not re-engage with you. I wish you healing, but from a safe distance. I forgive, but I do not forget my own worth. You can close the door lovingly. You can walk away without hatred. You can protect your peace without vengeance. That is the ultimate compassion, truth with love, firmness with grace. What you gain from choosing compassion? You gain your life back. You reclaim your power. You release bitterness that was never yours to carry. You make room for joy, for creativity, for intimacy, for softness. And most of all, you become someone who heals forward. Not because life was easy, but because your heart chose to stay open anyway. Subliminal message embedded in this chapter. You are healing into softness. Your pain no longer defines you. You are more than your past. You are rising, not in spite of your wounds, but with them like wings. You are learning to walk with grace, to love with clarity, and to rest in peace. Your compassion is your superpower. Tonight's reflection, a bedtime compassion practice. As you prepare for sleep, place your hand gently over your heart. Close your eyes and speak softly. I no longer carry the pain of what was done to me. I acknowledge the hurt, and I choose to release it. I send compassion not because they deserve it, but because I deserve peace. My heart is not closed. It is strong. My soul is not bitter. It is wise. Let a gentle smile form, even if it's just within. You have done something powerful tonight. You chose healing over hardness, compassion over corrosion, wholeness over hurt. That makes you extraordinary. That makes you free. Chapter 9, Writing the Apology You Needed. There are apologies that echo in our minds not because they were spoken, but because they never were. They haunt us. They linger in quiet spaces. They arrive in our dreams, in our tears, in the way we hesitate to trust again. These are the apologies we long to hear from people who walked away, who turned cold, who didn't see the damage they left behind. You waited for the moment they'd say, I was wrong. I hurt you. You didn't deserve that. But it never came. And maybe it never will. So what do you do with the words left unsaid? What do you do with the ache of being unseen, misunderstood, or unjustly blamed? You write. You write not to get revenge. Not to seek approval. But to reclaim power. To close the loop. To speak truth to silence. You write the apology you deserved. You give yourself the words that never arrived. Because you no longer need someone else to say them. You can say them now for you. The purpose of writing the unsent apology. When pain goes unacknowledged, it stays trapped inside. It repeats in our thoughts, in our choices, and in our fears. But writing is a key that unlocks the places where pain lives. When you write the apology you needed, you give shape to what was formless. You name the wound. You validate your experience. You release the grip of someone else's silence. And in that process, you heal. This isn't about pretending they apologized. Some might wonder, isn't this just make-believe? No. This is sacred reclamation. You're not imagining them apologizing. You're declaring the truth of what you were owed. It's not about excusing them. It's about acknowledging you. And the most powerful acknowledgement comes not from others but from within. How to write the apology you needed. Here's a guided framework you can follow tonight. Give yourself space. Light a candle. Create a sacred moment. This is not just writing, it's emotional liberation. 1. Begin with the facts. Start the letter with what happened. Keep it honest, clear, compassionate. When you said X, it broke something in me. When you didn't stand up for me, I felt abandoned. When you disappeared, I blamed myself. Speak as if you are the one giving the apology you never received. 2. Validate the pain. Write what you needed them to say but never did. I know I hurt you. You didn't deserve that. It wasn't your fault. Let these words come from your own higher self, the version of you that sees clearly, loves deeply, and honors your emotional truth. 3. Express empathy. Step into the shoes of what you needed, empathy. Let the letter say, I can only imagine how that made you feel scared, small, unworthy. I see now how my silence caused more damage than I understood. You were right to feel hurt. I should have been there. This kind of writing allows your nervous system to relax. It gives your heart the recognition it has long craved. 4. Offer forgiveness, if you're ready. This part is optional. Only do this if it feels natural, not forced. Even though I didn't say this when I should have, I hope one day you can forgive me. You deserved an apology, and I hope this brings you some peace. Remember, you are the author now. You choose the ending. Write it to yourself, too. Once you've written the apology from them, write a second version to yourself. This one might begin, Dear your name. I'm so sorry you had to carry this alone for so long. I'm sorry no one said the words you needed to hear. I see your pain now. And I promise to never silence it again. You matter. Your story matters. Your heart deserves peace. This letter is your bridge. From the wound, to the wisdom. From the hurt, to the healing. From the silence, to the self. What to do with the letter? You don't have to share it. In fact, it's often best that you don't. This letter is not for them. It's for you. You can fold it and place it under your pillow. Burn it in a safe fire as a symbolic release. Keep it in a journal as a marker of your growth. Read it aloud to yourself until the words become real. Do whatever makes your body exhale. What you'll feel after writing. Lighter. As if you've put down a burden you forgot you were carrying. Seen. Even if only by yourself. Empowered. Because you gave yourself what they didn't. Compassionate. You'll soften not for them, but for the child inside you who's been waiting so long to hear, you were right to hurt. You'll begin to notice a shift. The tightness in your chest. The clench in your jaw. The loop in your mind, begins to fade. Because closure doesn't come from their apology. It comes from your truth, finally spoken. Subliminal message woven into this chapter. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer bound. You are reclaiming the narrative. Your voice is rising. Your truth is sacred. You can say what was never said. And you can heal through your own honesty. You are the writer of your peace. The keeper of your freedom. The giver of your own closure. Tonight's practice, speak the words aloud. After you've written your letter, find a quiet place. Sit with yourself. Breathe in. Place your hand over your heart. And read your words softly, lovingly, as if you are both the wounded and the healer. Let every syllable wash over you like warm water. Then whisper. I deserved that apology. I've waited long enough. And now, I've given it to myself. I am free. And let that freedom carry you into sleep. Tomorrow is new. And you no longer need their voice because you've found your own. Chapter 10, A Nightly Ritual for Emotional Release. There is a sacred moment at the end of the day, just before sleep, when your soul invites you to pause. The world quiets. The lights dim. And for a few precious minutes, you are alone with your truth. No noise. No expectations. Just your heart, your breath, and the memories that rise when everything else fades. For those who carry pain from unspoken apologies, this is often the hardest moment. Not because the world is loud, but because the silence reminds you of what was never said, of what you still hold, of the conversations that ended too soon, or never started at all. But here's the beautiful truth, you don't have to fall asleep with that weight anymore. This chapter offers you a nightly ritual, not a routine of the mind, but a ceremony of the soul. A way to honor what you feel, release what you no longer need, and welcome in peace so you can rest. Because you deserve to sleep without carrying the pain of yesterday. Why night is the most powerful time to heal. At night, your subconscious mind is most open. It listens. It receives. It integrates. That's why bedtime is not just for sleeping, it's for rewiring. For cleansing. For letting go. The rituals you perform before sleep set the tone for your healing. They whisper messages to your heart as you drift into dreams. You can choose to end your day in heaviness, or in healing. This ritual is your invitation to choose healing. The emotional release ritual, step by step. Let this be your gift to yourself each night. You don't need special tools. Just a quiet space, a willing heart, and a few minutes to be truly present with your soul. Step 1. Create your sacred space. Dim the lights. Turn off distractions. Light a candle, or simply sit in a space where you feel safe. You're not just preparing for sleep, you're preparing to meet yourself. Optional. Play soft instrumental or ambient music. Add essential oils like lavender, frankincense, or sandalwood. Wrap yourself in a blanket or hold a pillow to your chest. Step 2. Ground your breath. Sit or lie down comfortably. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart or belly. Begin to breathe slowly and intentionally. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale gently for 6 counts. Repeat 3 to 5 times. With each exhale, feel your body sinking deeper. You are safe here. Step 3. Name the weight. Ask yourself gently. What am I still carrying today that no longer belongs to me? Whose silence have I been holding onto? What unspoken apology is still living in my heart? Don't force the answers. Let them come like a whisper. You might recall a face, a sentence, a feeling. Whatever arises, welcome it without judgment. You are not here to fix or fight. You are simply here to feel. Say to yourself, I honor this pain. I see you. I'm listening now. Step 4. Speak the release. Softly say the following, aloud or silently. I release the need for their apology. I release the version of me still waiting to be seen. I release the heaviness of unspoken words. I choose peace tonight. I choose freedom. I choose rest. Repeat as many times as needed until you feel a shift, even a small one. Step 5. Place your pain somewhere safe. Visualize your pain as a physical object. Maybe it's a heavy stone, a tangled string, a piece of paper. Now, in your mind's eye, gently set it down. In a stream that carries it away. In a golden box that you lock with love. at the feet of something greater, God, the universe, a guardian angel. You are not erasing the past. You are simply saying, not tonight. You are allowed to rest. Step 6, anchor in self-compassion. Place your hand over your heart again and whisper, I did my best today. I am learning how to let go. I am worthy of love, even without their apology. I am safe to rest. I am held. I am whole. Let this be your lullaby. Let your nervous system settle. Let your muscles relax. Let the self-talk soften into kindness. Step 7, drift into peace. As you drift toward sleep, visualize a soft light wrapping around you like a blanket of unconditional love. This is your soul's way of saying, you are not alone. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are healing even now, even here. Allow this light to cradle you as you fall asleep. And if you wake in the night, place your hand on your heart and repeat, I am safe. I am healing. All is well. Subliminal message embedded throughout this ritual. You are allowed to release what others never resolved. You no longer need to sleep with sorrow in your heart. Each night is a chance to rewrite your story, not by changing the past, but by healing the present. You are worthy of emotional peace, and you are reclaiming it now, breath by breath, night by night. What happens when you repeat this ritual nightly? After a week, you'll notice less mental chatter before sleep, fewer dreams of conflict or confusion, more emotional clarity upon waking, greater self-trust and calm. After a month, something even more beautiful emerges. You stop waiting. You stop yearning. You begin to live not in reaction to the pain, but in celebration of your strength. Your final thought tonight. Before you close your eyes, repeat softly. Some apologies may never come, but I no longer need them. I am learning to rest with peace in my heart. I am safe with myself. I am ready to sleep free. And sleep you shall. Deeply. Completely. Because this time, you aren't sleeping with sorrow. You're sleeping with self-love. Biggest takeaway, from wounded to whole, reclaiming your voice, purpose, and peace. This ebook is not just a comfort for the broken-hearted, it is a call to awaken. It is a soft yet powerful reminder that even when the world doesn't apologize, you still have the power to heal. Not because they made it right, but because you chose to become right within yourself. Every chapter was a mirror reflecting the pain of unspoken apologies, yes, but more importantly, reflecting your ability to rewrite the story. To speak again. To stand again. To dream again. The truth is, unspoken apologies are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of your inner revolution. How to leverage this ebook for self-enhancement and self-transformation. 1. Let healing become a daily discipline. Use the nightly rituals as part of your emotional hygiene. Just as you brush your teeth, cleanse your mind of the day's unspoken emotions. Reread one chapter each night. Whisper one healing affirmation from this book before bed. Keep a bedside journal where you record your nightly releases and insights. Healing is no longer something you hope for. It becomes something you practice. 2. Re-engineer your focus toward what matters. When you stop looping the same unresolved pain, you free up mental bandwidth and emotional energy. Now, you can focus on rediscovering your voice in your relationships. Pursuing that dream you shelved because you weren't good enough. Returning to your core values. Setting intentions aligned with your soul, not your scars. Let this healing empower you to design each day around peace, presence, and purpose. 3. Use emotional awareness as your superpower. After reading this book, you'll no longer interpret silence or rejection as personal failure. You'll see them as moments to pause, breathe, and respond consciously, not reactively. You become emotionally sovereign. You're no longer controlled by what others did or didn't say. You reclaim your emotional narrative. This awareness makes you a better communicator, a wiser decision maker, a more compassionate human being. 4. Transform bitterness into contribution. You've felt the sting of emotional abandonment. Now, choose to be someone who offers others the acknowledgement you never got. Start a support circle. Share your healing journey in a blog or podcast. Comfort someone else who's still waiting for an apology. Your pain becomes your ministry, your message, your medicine. You don't live to demerit your past, you live to redeem it by contributing meaningfully while you're still here. 5. Refocus on your life's divine purpose. Every human being is born with a mission, not just to survive, but to contribute, illuminate, and create. This book clears the fog. It helps you stop waiting. It helps you stop over-apologizing for existing. It invites you to wake up with gratitude and go to sleep with peace. You realize you're not here to chase the approval of those who couldn't love you right. You're here to become who God designed you to be. All is well. You are loved. You are needed. You are no longer walking in the shadow of what wasn't said. You are walking in the light of who you've become. Final whisper, your contribution matters. You are still living. You are still breathing. Which means your story isn't over. You have more to give, more to experience, more to express. Do not waste your time looking for ways to demerit yourself or your value. Instead, ask, how can I love more deeply? How can I speak more truthfully? How can I leave this world better than I found it? Even if no one ever says I'm sorry, you can still rise. You can still serve. You can still shine. Because your light is not powered by their words. It is powered by your soul. Let this be your daily affirmation. Today, I choose to live as if I am already whole. I choose peace where I once chose pain. I choose contribution over regret. I choose my voice over silence. I am not waiting for the world to apologize. I am rising, because I am alive. And because I am alive, I am enough. All is well. You are God blessed. Go rest now, knowing your soul is finally free. Reaching RTSG with AI assistance via WhatsApp QR code. Recommended Reinventing Ourselves YouTube video QR code.